TRUTALK, brought to you by TRULAND Equipment. Join us as we explore cutting-edge machinery, groundbreaking technology, and inspirational stories from the field.
From the dedicated efforts of our team members to the triumphs and challenges of our farmers, TRUTALK brings you along every step of the way.
Whether you're a seasoned agriculturalist or simply curious about the industry, tune in to discover the fascinating intersection of technology, agriculture, and green machines.
TRUTALK, cultivating true conversations. Welcome back to the latest episode of TRUTALK. We're so happy you could join us today. As usual, joining me is...
Hey everyone, I'm Courtney.
Hi everyone, I'm Josh.
Last but not least, our special guest of today is...
Hi, I'm Karie. I've been on once before when we were talking about our advanced features, but yes. I'm back.
Yeah, so you actually got to play host in our advanced automation features episode, and you got to quiz Josh, Courtney, and myself.
Yes. Yep.
Her return visit to the podcast today.
Now you guys get to quiz me.
Oh, I can't wait. Cannot wait. This will be fun. So starting off, Karie, do you want to tell everybody why you're here?
Yeah, so I am wrapping up my internship, so that's a little bit about me. So I am the Dealership Experience Intern this summer. So I've rotated through every department, and this is my last week, so I'm 3 days from my last day. And today they're just going to ask me a lot about what I learned, what I experienced, and what I did this summer.
I'm so glad that we prepped you enough that you could answer that.
It's a sad week because it's Karie's last week. We were just sitting here talking about how her first day we sat in this same room, and it was in the heat of planning season, and we were all frantically answering phone calls and trying to keep our customers moving, and that was what she got to see her first day on the job.
But we didn't scare you off.
It was quite the entrance, but no, you did not scare me off.
What were you thinking that day when you saw that going on? Just out of curiosity.
I remember thinking, how in the world are they doing this? Because people would call in and ask about the most random things, and you guys just had to know. And I was like, am I going to have to do this? Like, I am not qualified to do this. I was like, I don't know how they get to this point of being able to do this.
Did you think we were going to make you do that?
Yes, a little piece of me was like, oh no. But I also thought, I was like, oh no, I'm not going to talk to anybody today, because you guys were on calls every second. It was like once they got off the phone, another call came in.
Your orientation day, yeah, we would talk to you for 20 seconds and then the phone would ring, and then 20 more seconds. And we were just talking how we finally got to break away for lunch 1 or 1:30 that afternoon and have a little bit of peace and a chance to chat. But yeah, it was a chaotic day. And here we are.
I will say that is one thing about this internship is that there is no shortage of jobs to do, and you'll stay busy.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of other people and a lot of other internships, especially when I was in college, friends, they said they had a lot of free time to spend or decide how they spent it at their internships, and that is not how this internship operates by any means, but it's good. I mean, for the people who like to stay busy and like to be go, 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 Josh, this would be a perfect internship for Josh when he was younger.
So we wanted today to take this opportunity to highlight your internship, but really highlight internships with TRULAND as a whole, I think. And we were going to talk to you about kind of start to finish, going way back to when you first met with us at the career fair. But we're obviously big advocates of internships in this company. I think they're incredibly important in developing future talent for sure. So I think it's great that we can have a podcast about this, and kind of put that out there for sure.
Yeah, internships and job shadowing, I think that, as I'm sure we'll hear throughout the course of the episode and how Karie debriefs her summer, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that from the outside looking in, I don't think that people quite get to see or understand the intricacies of a dealer network with John Deere. And I think that job shadowing experiences or high school or college internships is honestly the best way to know what you're getting yourself into, for lack of better terms.
So can we dive right in? Let's go back. So you interviewed, I believe we were at the fall career fair, if I believe, because Purdue has a fall and a spring. Yep. Even before you stepped foot in that career fair, what did you have any idea what you might want to do that summer? Because the summer prior to that, you worked at a fertilizer dealer.
Yeah, so I did like a field scouting agronomy internship the summer before. And I guess going back before that. So I don't come from a farm family, and I have connections to agriculture. I grew up in a rural area, but I didn't have that farming experience. So I learned a lot in that field scouting internship about the actual growing of the plant. And then I knew going into my next summer, I wanted to see a different side of agriculture that I hadn't seen yet. And I also knew that I kind of wanted to dive into like marketing or sales. And so I was just kind of researching different opportunities in that area. And then I ended up talking to you guys at the career fair, at the Purdue career fair. And I actually knew some of you guys' recent new hires. And so saw them at the booth, kind of chatted with them a little bit, and then gave you guys my resume. You guys reached out. I interviewed, and then found out, obviously, that this was a rotational where I'd get to do a lot of different departments and be able to experience that marketing and sales, as well as like the precision agriculture and like all of that. So it was super exciting to see that, I guess.
So I'm going to make the assumption that two of the people in the room were at the career fair. Am I right?
Well, of course. If we get the opportunity to go back to Purdue, we're not going to miss that opportunity.
I used to work them all the time, and I loved it. So tell, if you can remember, tell us a little bit about that interaction, that first.
So it's kind of a funny story. So my dad actually works in the Purdue College of Agriculture, and when did Justin start working for you guys?
About 2 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago, probably.
So Justin did a lot with my dad. He was ABE ambassador, and my dad kind of runs that group. And so I was walking around the career fair, and typically I try to avoid my dad because I'm like, you know what? I'm independent. I can get my own jobs. Like,
typical teenager.
I hope he's going to listen to this podcast.
I'm sure he will. But so I try to avoid him. I want to like make my own opportunities. And as I'm walking by the TRULAND booth, which you guys were on my list, he grabs me and goes, "Oh, Karie, this is Justin." And so I start talking to Justin, and then my dad's like just talking to Justin, catching up. And I was like, oh, like, I need to give these people my resume. Like, they were on my list. Like, I can't leave and then come back awkwardly and be like, hey, forgot to give this to you. So I was like, I need to somehow get back into this conversation and cut off my dad. So finally, if you know my dad, you know he likes to talk. So finally, he kind of leaves the conversation. I end up talking to you guys, giving you my resume. But yeah, I guess I have my dad to thank for pulling me over to the booth. But yeah.
Well, we're glad. We're glad for your dad. We're glad that you stopped by and visited us. So, okay, so fast forward. You actually went through an interview process at some point, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I think I did a Zoom call interview, and then actually Andy, who's my boss, and then Scott.
Boss.
Yeah, our boss, I guess. And then Scott Mans, who's like head of HR.
Yep.
They both came to campus, and we met in a coffee shop little meeting area, and did a final interview, and they offered me the job, and then I got back to them and said I'd do it. So.
And the rest is history.
Yep.
So in behind the scenes, between that point and when you actually came on board for the first day, we'd worked a little bit and had some meetings and some planning meetings to decide what we were going to do and where we were going to have you and some things like that. So there was some work done behind the scenes, but I didn't meet you until your first day, and you were technically working with me right off the bat too. Right. So which is kind of cool, but we definitely had some prep though. So it sounds like it was a decent experience.
Yes.
From start to finish to that point.
I guess like one thing, Jordan and Courtney, I feel like I've kind of heard of this as I go through the summer. You guys kind of collaborated on how to create this internship, because this was a new internship. So
we did do that. I honestly kind of forgot about that, but yeah, Jolene, Courtney, myself, I'm not sure who else was even
Was
in it.
Justin involved in it too? I don't
Justin
know.
was, because I think he was the one that told me about this. But
Yeah. So we wanted to have a internship opportunity. I feel like a lot of companies are not shying away from, but not looking for younger students. And I think that was kind of where we wanted to differentiate ourselves and have an opportunity for younger students. I mean, honestly, I think the younger the better that you get involved and you start learning this stuff. A lot of it, it obviously takes work ethic and a drive and a desire to learn this, but it just takes time. And there is so much, I can't even count how many times we say that in our day-to-day jobs. You know, it just takes time. Prior to recording this, we were talking about somebody who's been with the dealership in this position for, 40 years, 40 years, and how much they know. So it just takes time. So I think that the earlier the better, and wanting to get somebody involved that, was younger, and we could pique that interest and show an intern what it was all about is kind of what our baseline was for the internship.
Yeah, and we also wanted it to be like a good internship. Speaking from a past internship that I had about doing like different departments of the company and being with a new person every single day, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't a big fan of that, just because I was always sitting in the passenger seat for that type of internship. So
With a stranger.
Right, yeah. And not really knowing and just kind of watching them do their job, it felt more like a job shadow all summer rather than an internship. So knowing that in mind, I wanted to make sure that you got the full experience and you didn't feel like you were just job shadowing somebody. So I think that also helped too, because we had that perspective and being able to create it so you didn't have that.
Which I think is fair to say you did have your fair share of responsibilities this summer. Yes. So do you want to start diving into what some of those are?
yeah, I guess going back, I should probably mention I'm going into my junior year. So this really is my second opportunity for an internship. And yeah, a lot of companies won't hire, like they say, I won't hire until a junior.
And good for you guys. I want to chime in on that, because I was one of those guys that would always try to target the juniors, because to me at that point you were looking for someone that was like a potential job interview, because they were going into their senior year and potentially to be an employee. So good for you guys for going a little deeper to the younger kids, because that was something that I didn't typically do when we were working on an internship program under prior companies. So.
And so the idea is we have two different internship opportunities, and we have the Dealership Experience, which is meant for not the year prior to you graduating. Right. So an earlier in college experience, whether that be a freshman going to be sophomore or a sophomore going to be junior, not that last experience before you go and enter the workforce. But we also have the opportunity that is not a rotational program, that's a little bit more specialized for our upperclassmen.
So before you go into her question, I want to back up one more and say, before you talk about what you did, talk about what your maybe expectations were and maybe some concerns you had before you came in, because we were talking about that before we started this.
Okay, yeah. So going into it, obviously I knew I was working at a John Deere dealership, and I think one of the first things, like not coming from a farming family, not doing any work with a John Deere dealership prior, I thought that all you guys did was sell tractors, like quite frankly. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this might be boring, like going through this. And then I actually realized how much more you guys actually do. And then I would say one of my most surprising things was I was terrified to go into service, because I thought, like, I'm picturing, you're helping your dad or your older brothers. I have 2 older brothers, and anytime I would help them, like, work on something, you're holding the flashlight or whatever, and they're like, oh, you're holding it at the wrong angle, or can you stop hovering over my shoulder? That kind of energy. And so I was terrified. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go into the shop and everybody's going to hate me and think I'm so annoying. And really, it was not like that at all. The shop, like, anytime I walked out there, they all wanted to tell me what they were working on and wanted to explain, oh, like, hey, this is how that works. And I would tell them, I was like, I don't understand that. Like, how does that even make sense or whatever? And they'd take the time to explain it, and then I'd not understand a certain segment of it, and they'd dive deeper into it. And all the guys were super helpful in that. So I feel like that was one of my surprising things. I totally did not expect to be that comfortable.
So we'll give a shout out to our Frankfurt store for that.
Yes, yes.
And definitely some experienced techs down there that are good at showing people the ropes. So 2 things going off of that. One, you might not want to let your family listen to this podcast. Just putting that out there. But also, 2, I think that it's good that, you had that experience and there was portions of this that you were more comfortable in. You said that you were looking for marketing. And you did get to do a little bit of that, which we'll talk a little bit more about what your actual marketing responsibilities were. But you got to do that you were comfortable with and excited for, but then also some intimidating things that got you out of your comfort zone. And I'm a true believer in getting you out of your comfort zone is the best way to grow. And you need to kind of get out of your comfort zone and push yourself.
And you definitely did that for me this summer, Jordan.
Trial by fire is what I like to call it. But yeah. You want to give an example of how I did that?
So I actually presented at a seminar that we did over the operations center, probably like 3 weeks into my internship. And I think on the call, it was Jordan and Courtney were on the call, and Joe Lynn, one of our other team members, said like, "Hey Karie, are you interested in just like doing a little piece of this? Like if you're not comfortable, it's totally okay." And Jordan and Courtney both chimed in before I could even turn my mic on. They're like, "Oh, I think she should do it. Like, definitely, she should lead a segment. Like, she should be doing this." And so I didn't even know what field analyzer was, and I learned, and definitely both of them answered a lot of my questions. So they didn't completely leave me out to dry. Jordan did a few calls with me before the seminar to prep me, and yeah, but that was definitely an example.
If it makes you feel better, back before the merger on the KFG side I interned, they made me do the same thing. So I was like, if I can do it, you definitely can do it. You weren't going to get you could get a little say, but overall.
I believe my exact words were, "She'll do it."
That is exactly what it was, I think.
And to be fair, that was not your first week. It was at least a few weeks in.
Yeah.
She said 3.
Yeah, I think it was 3 weeks in.
She's been around us long enough to know that we were going to have her do it.
Now in retrospect, it all makes sense, right? You get that.
Yep.
Okay, so what else? So we started out working together, and when you work with me, it's, I love having interns around, but at the same time, I'm not the best at scheduling things out to do, because particularly during planting season or shortly thereafter, it's kind of like the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? And I said, well, trust me, we'll find things to do.
Yeah,
and we did.
Yeah, we definitely did. I mean, so my first day was in this room, just orientation, meeting everybody. And then my second day, I went with Josh to help with some planting.
Plots.
And we were messing with some downforce stuff. Yep. And I ended up, one of the farmers we were working with knew my grandpa, and I'm supposed to be the intern helping Josh put out these flags, and I end up actually jumping in the planter with the farmer while Josh is running behind us acting like the intern with all the flags.
Oh, I got, yeah, and the next thing I know, I turn around and she's in the driver's seat planting corn. But you didn't just know your grandpa. He had your grandpa. He actually went to school with your dad as well.
Yeah,
which was really cool.
Yep. So yeah, that was special, and that was my second day on the job. So, and I had never even been in a planter before that day, and like 5 minutes into it, this guy had me planting. So.
Were you using AutoTrack or were you hand driving?
Oh yeah, AutoTrack.
AutoTrack all the way.
Yep.
That would have messed up my plot if you weren't using AutoTrack.
Yep.
Especially because it was your first time driving a tractor, I presume.
Yep.
Let alone planting corn. So yeah, AutoTrack is good in those situations.
Yeah. So I spent that week and the next week with IS, Integrated Solutions, and yeah, we did a lot. Josh gave me the project of learning about active yield, so I did a presentation for him, and then
Just for Josh.
yeah.
That was our research project, because I knew we were going to talk about it a little bit at our harvest clinics, and I have used your information. But I also gave you an outline and had you make some slides for an agronomy update that I had to do as well.
Yep.
She did a fantastic job. So.
Yeah, and so then my next week I headed into service. So you guys know that was one I was very scared for. And my base location was out of Frankfurt, but I had been going to Flora with Josh for the first 3 weeks of my internship. And actually I hadn't gone to service yet. I went to marketing the next week, and I met with Courtney and Courtney and I did a lot of work together. She made me a list of things to do that was pretty long, but she told me I had the whole summer to work on it. And so I definitely have spent time that I had some downtime. I have worked on Courtney's list of marketing things to do. And I think one of my first things I did was edit this podcast logo.
Which you did a great job on, by the way.
Thank you.
Our fans love it.
But yeah, so then I made a email design and something we sent out to our customers who were going to the post-planting ops center webinar that I ended up presenting at.
You're welcome.
Yep. Thank you, Jordan and Courtney. And then I went into service. So I hadn't been at Frankfurt at that store for 3 weeks. So I was intimidated to go into service, and then I was starting at a new store. So I was kind of nervous, and the service office, like I said, just took me in, and it was super nice. Like, they were so helpful. And if it was slower in the shop, I would work on my marketing stuff. And then I also that week had gone to the full team IS meeting. You guys met in Van Wert. And that's one thing I'll say is I got to travel a lot this summer, like going to all the different dealerships and getting to see how different things run at different locations. So that was always fun. But
Did you make it to all 18 locations or just a handful?
I don't think I did, but I was keeping track for a while. I don't know how many I actually ended up making it to. But funnily enough, I think the closest location to my house is the Lafayette one, and I never went there. So
I haven't even been to all 18 locations, but one of the couple reasons we chose Frankfurt for you, obviously, like you said, your house is close to Lafayette, but you actually live between the Frankfurt and Flora stores, and I work out of Flora. And the other thing, the Frankfurt store has had a pretty good track record with internships. Jill, our store lead down there, does a pretty good job of getting her staff on board with the kind of experiences that we need to give the internships or the interns, excuse me, and they do a pretty good job, as you've said.
Yeah, Jill was fantastic, and everybody at the Frankfurt store, I couldn't have asked for a better group to work with every day.
So you talked about, I got to bring this up, our whole team meeting that we travel to about twice a year for Van Wert. And we have a big team. What are we at right now? Is it 20, 22? And we love our team. We talk about that. So what was that like for you walking into the room with 22 people?
It was really cool, actually. I think that you guys' team is super special in the way you all work together, and you know each other's strengths, and you know, like, where one of you can jump in and help. And you guys are fun. You joke around, but you also get a lot done, and you guys cover. I would say IS is the one. So I'm working on my final presentation, and I'm supposed to kind of define what each department does in my mind. And IS, I'm struggling with that one because you guys cover a lot of different things. So
That's the truth.
Do we get to see this final presentation? I feel like we've been with you for most of the summer, so.
I do.
Honestly, I feel like whether you know it or not, you are giving your final presentation to the entire world right now.
yeah.
Minus your PowerPoint.
Yeah. Yep, if you'd want the visual effects, let me know.
Come to Frankfurt.
Yep.
You could sell tickets to it.
You fit. We do love our team again, and we really enjoy being around each other, and we've been that way since day one. We actually met as a team before the merger actually happened, and we all just clicked. And I feel like you slid in very nicely.
Andy made us play Two Truths and a Lie, which I don't know if you've ever done that, but that is the worst icebreaker. Personally, my least favorite, because we didn't know these people at all. And I will never forget, I'm pretty sure it was Joe Webkin, said his lie, well, you're supposed to pick out what you think the lie is. Yeah. And he said something about motorcycles. And everybody said, oh, that's the lie. And I said, well, that's not the lie, because he has a motorcycle sticker on his computer right in front of him. And so, yeah, I don't know. It was just such a fun experience from the very get-go. But I do think after seeing that meeting, now do you understand why me and Courtney just volunteer you for things?
Yes.
Because that's what happens to us.
Yeah.
So then it's kind of like the seniority ranks, that happens to us. So then we we make that happen to you.
If it makes you feel better, I learned during that meeting not to sit by Jordan because I feel the pressure that I need to volunteer because she volunteers all the time. So
It's not volunteer. It's
Voluntold.
Yeah, I would say that's one thing that's kind of cool about the IS team is you guys have a wide range of like level of experience, and you have like a lot of young people, but also a lot of very experienced people who kind of drag you guys along and teach you a lot. So I feel like I'm learning from all of you, but definitely it's kind of cool when there's also other people around, so you don't feel like the only one that's learning. Like everybody is learning.
Well, that was a great little nugget. We should put that on repeat. Should be the quote of this podcast.
Okay, so moving on. So to the back, I guess we've kind of already gone through the first half of the summer.
Yeah,
Essentially.
so I spent 2 weeks in service, and then I went to 2 weeks in parts, which I think this was one I was kind of surprised how much I actually liked it. It was kind of, I feel like I have a very close attention to detail, and you need that to do parts because you're looking at very minute details and making sure you're super organized with everything. And I also really enjoyed working with everybody in the parts department. And I felt like parts was one area that I could actually help them out a lot, where if they were getting a lot of calls or something, I could hear them say, hey, this customer's in to pick up, and I could go to that shelf and grab their part for them and just actually keep their efficiency up. And so a lot of times if I had downtime or was wanting to get back on my feet, instead of just doing computer work, I would run back to the parts department and help them out. So
I've always thought that parts is a really good gateway for bringing young people into the business. Maybe they want to be a salesman ultimately, or a tech or something. I feel like you kind of see that being in the parts department, maybe the all-encompassing learning about the business, meeting the customers, and you've kind of got to experience some of that.
And learning the machinery.
Yeah, for sure. You're definitely having, like, I guess one thing I didn't really understand is I see Jeff, our parts manager, spend a lot of time with customers, like actually looking at the detailed pieces of the parts, and they're both problem solving. Hey, like, it was this section of the machine, and they're getting really into the details. And I think that's something I kind of didn't expect them to have to do. Like, I thought they were just, oh, here's the parts number, let me go grab it, bring it back to you. And they're actually having to do some of the problem solving. So definitely they see a lot of the different sides, and they're working with the techs, and the techs are constantly coming, hey, I ordered this part, like, is it coming in yet? And they know, like, hey, it's in the back sitting on that shelf right there, and you can grab it, and like that kind of stuff. So yeah.
And you get to face customers too as a parts person. Yep.
Have you developed a good relationship with a customer that
There-
you didn't know before?
There's definitely a few. They all get excited. They want to come in, and they are like, oh, we've got a new person working in parts. And I'm like, oh, I'm just here for the 2 weeks. And then they'd see me coming back the next couple weeks later, and I'm like, yeah, I'm helping out today. And they're like, oh, you're back again. And so it's fun. I can't think of like a specific name right now of somebody that really stands out, but definitely there are a lot of people who came in that I enjoyed talking to, and some repeat customers for sure.
Repeat customers.
Yeah.
It's because you served them well the first time they're back.
Uh-huh.
Happy with their service. So yeah.
And then you've went back I think back towards marketing towards the end. Is that right?
So after parts, I went into sales. So spent a week in sales, and that was pretty cool. I did we'd ride to a customer's house and do a quote for a trade-in. So we'd look at the lawnmower and take some pictures, and then bring it back and do some assessing and looking at some numbers, and then send the quote back to the customer and see what they liked or didn't like about that quote, and then just kind of negotiating with them. So that was kind of cool. I didn't think that I'd be able to get that in depth with it, and so I got to do a lot of that.
The sales process really from start to finish, and sometimes in the summer it can be a little slow maybe in the sales, so it's good that you got to
Especially this year.
Sure. Yep.
I was going to say, with the economy the way that it is, and the ramp up that we're seeing in the used market, I think that it's really great that you were able to see that experience, because I know even when I was younger, I thought of a John Deere dealership and you think of new and shiny equipment, and obviously that is the shining star of the business, what everybody likes to focus on, but that used market is a big deal. And I think it's really good that you were able to get involved in that. Plus, if you're going to buy a new tractor, you have to do something with your old one because it's not realistic to just keep piling them up in the back of your farm. So yeah, I think that's great that you're able to see something that honestly not a lot of people do.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool. And then the other thing I did with the sales department was I helped them rearrange our lot at Frankfurt. So the Frankfurt store had their parking lot redone, so they had to move kind of everything off the lot and then redo it. So I got to be part of that, and I actually think I drove every compact tractor on the lot, which I had never drove a compact tractor before this summer. And I drove a lot of different lawnmowers. Actually, so I had never mowed a lawn. And last week they found that out, so they had me mowing at the Frankfurt store.
Wow.
Who's
So
that out there mowing? Oh, just the intern.
Did you get the safety talk first if you've never mowed before?
they definitely they sat me down and explained a lot of it, but it was a lot more simple than I thought it would be.
You need to lose a foot.
Was it a zero turn?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody at the store was like a proud mom, though. They were all coming out with,
Lined up watching you?
yeah, they were all taking pictures and videos. They were like, oh my gosh, look at her
The
go.
fact that it took them like most of the summer to finally realize you've never mowed a yacht. How did that conversation come up? I'm just out of like curiosity.
So actually, I was talking to Jill, and who's our store lead at Frankfurt, and she was just kind of saying, because we were talking about how I was wrapping up, and I was kind of telling her my plans for the next couple weeks, and she goes, well, what have you not done? And I was not planning on bringing up mowing because I really had no desire. And then she goes, have you mowed a lawn? And I was like, man, she hit the nail on the head right there. I haven't.
She called you out. She saw you and she said, this girl has never mowed a lawn before, and I can tell.
So next internship, we need to have an interview question of, have you ever mowed a lawn before?
What haven't you done? So
I think I would have started bigger and said like, oh, I've never driven a combine, or I've never, I don't know, sprayed a field. But you go, yeah, no, I've never mowed a lawn.
you gotta know, was it intimidating having everybody watch you? Like, did you like look at them and crash into something?
So I guess it had helped. I had been driving the mowers around the lot because I had rearranged the lot. So everything but the actual turning the blades on had happened before, so it wasn't that intimidating.
The blades are the most dangerous part. You do know that, right?
I know, but it really is just the click of a button. I sent my dad a picture, and he was very proud.
So is he gonna let you mow your yard at home now?
Or make you?
He does not allow other people to mow our yard.
He's the yard dad.
Yep. Yep, he's one of those. Yeah, no, he's definitely not going to want to listen to this podcast.
Stuff that comes out that I didn't know. That's great, you know, little things that are coming out that we didn't know about.
I wonder if Andy knew that you've never mowed a lawn before.
He probably wouldn't have hired me.
No, I mean, I think that is the point of this internship. It's dealership experience. I mean, you are supposed to get the full experience of what it's like to be involved in a dealership.
Yeah, and I would say if you're somebody who's like wanting to be involved in agriculture but didn't exactly come from a strong agriculture background, this is kind of the dream. Like being able to go through every department and see different sides of it with people who are very willing to help and very willing to teach, and not making you feel dumb for not knowing everything, and actually being excited that you're gonna mow a lawn and not be like, this girl has never mowed a lawn, why does she work here? So I think this has just been a really great experience, and yeah.
These are the stories that you love about internships, for real. Like it's always, you can't, that's why you don't want to overplan, because you never know the little things that are going to happen. And you know, we've spent 5 minutes talking about mowing yards, but it's those little things that, to me, you just never know where an internship's going to go. And these little experiences like that, to me, kind of.
Yeah, and I would say like my main priority with an internship is for it to be a learning experience. Like you spend your whole time at Purdue learning and getting you ready for a job, but this is when you actually learn the stuff that you'll need to know when you go into the industry. And I would say that's been really great experiences of my last 2 now internships, is that I've learned things that I can see actually paying off in the future.
That's great. That's why we like to hire from Purdue. No, I'm just kidding.
Every episode.
I know. I have to get in there somehow. But there is opportunities for us to be at other career fairs. So we do participate in the Ohio State Career Fair as well. And I know that those are just the two off the top of my head. I know that we'll have a full list. Our recruiting team will be at lots of colleges across our territory, so Indiana and Ohio, this coming fall. So fall and spring and whenever those respective career fairs are.
So finish it up. So what's left?
So then I actually went back to IS, and
Because you got to choose, right?
yes, well, not yet. This wasn't my choice.
okay.
This was not my choice. I went back,
Wow.
but this is when I went and did the Precision Ag Foundations in Van Wert. So that was 3 days of setup, a practice run, and then a full run through. And I actually worked with Justin Johnson on the boundary mapping station.
So tell our listeners what Precision Ag Foundations is.
So essentially, which I actually learned a lot of this the day before I went and presented, but I had a meeting with Justin, and I thought customers were coming in or something, but really it's an internal teaching event from what I understand. And a lot of techs come in, and you guys kind of go through a lot of different precision ag components. Yeah. And yeah, so I don't know, you guys had AutoPath, rows, and boundaries at your station,
Yeah,
right?
we did an advanced automation feature. So Courtney and I actually led that one. We did internal training for parts and service. So service managers, techs, and then parts departments. And I think there are actually a couple sales department representatives there as well. So yeah, that's what we got to cover. We got to cover AutoPath and turn automation. So.
And then Chad covered rate controllers. Which that was really cool. So this was kind of cool. I got to go through all of the stations the day before we actually presented, because we did a practice run and we didn't have enough groups to fill every station. So whenever my station wasn't doing anything, I would go through a different station. So I actually kind of got to learn a lot too, and also teach. So my station was on boundary mapping, and we have the boundary program that we're starting here, and it's essentially using a gator equipped with all the things you would need to map a boundary as accurate as possible. And so I created the cab cards, what we call them, instruction manual for how to do that. And so then me and Justin kind of talked the text through it, and our group through it, and then they would go and map a boundary around a field, and then they'd come back and we knew the acreage that they were supposed to be shooting for, and we'd give them tips and tricks and getting more accuracy through squaring corners versus rounding corners, and using your pause and resume functions and stuff like that.
So I'm a big fanatic of the Precision Ag basis class like that. So that was obviously something really great for you to go through as an intern.
Yes,
for sure. Yes. It sounds like she's ready to come on board, doesn't it? Picked up a lot of stuff.
She also didn't do that. She did that, but she did more with riding with Jordan. We also stayed behind a little bit. She learned how to put a receiver on a combine and
I did.
stuff around.
Again, trial by fire. I literally got a receiver, and I had to go on. And so I obtained said receiver, and it was in my hands for about 3 seconds before I was shoving it into Carrie's arms and saying, "Here you go." And I said, "Have you ever put one of these on?" To which you said, "No." And I said, "Well, you are right now, so have at it."
Yep. And then I was struggling to get it to click in, and then right as Courtney got to where
On top of the combine.
I didn't know if we should say that, but yeah, Courtney crawled herself on top of the combine to be able to click this thing in. Right as she got up there, I actually clicked it in. So she did all that work for really nothing.
And then to find out later, the ladder in the back was out, and I didn't have to monkey my way back down. But it was fine. We got down.
But yeah, so then after that week, I went back to admin and actually had an event with Jill, so our store lead, and she, we went and worked with ABG on, it was the National Weed Contest, and yeah, and so it was
The collegiate level.
Yeah, it was a bunch of Big Ten-ish colleges, ag colleges, yeah. and Purdue, Ohio State were there, and a lot of different other colleges.
That was a really cool opportunity for you to not only get to experience that, you got to see what that contest was all about, and then learn about the See and Spray sprayer, which we actually took to the event.
So Josh and Jordan were there kind of through a separate thing. So they came with Joe Webkin and Justin Berkey to do a See and Spray demo. And actually I got to kind of spend some time with them as well. So IS and admin, I guess, that week, and got to learn a lot about that. And Joe was super helpful in teaching us all about that. And I don't know, that was a really cool experience to get to see that. So
I mean, See and Spray is brand new. So the fact that I feel like any intern that was that close up to See and Spray, I mean, those college kids were going crazy over it. Yeah. And you were like, yeah, I've been in it. No big deal.
Yep. Yeah, and so the demo was the night before the contest. So the next day I was a team lead, and so I'd walk my group through the different rotations of their contest, and the sprayer was sitting there, and I was asking them, hey, were you guys here for the demo yesterday? And a lot of them weren't. So there I was, not super qualified, but explaining what the See and Spray sprayer does, and they were all fascinated, and it was really cool to be able to talk about. And yeah, so I did that event with Jill, which was really cool. So ABG is a big customer of the Frankfurt store, and we have a really good relationship with them. So they had a bunch of different John Deere tractors and John Deere setups there to kind of market us. And then we brought a bunch of stuff just to help them put on this event, like coffee makers, gators to bring people different places. And then a lot of, like, we had a salesman, a service clerk, and me and Jill all kind of help out being team leads. And then we had a booth. One of our HR, Allie at the Frankfurt store, she had a booth with kind of some handouts and just to get TRULAND out there. So yeah,
that's about it, right? So we're kind of
that's about it. 48 minutes later.
Yeah, right. So as far as that was basically last week, or essentially 2 weeks ago. So we're kind of winding it down.
Yep. And now this is my last week. And yesterday, it's kind of, I was supposed to kind of choose a department for my last week, but I've kind of just been bouncing around. And so I yesterday did a ops center training for Helena with you guys, which definitely, I think that was something that was kind of full circle moment for me, because at the beginning of the summer, if you had told me, hey, Karie, can you take notes over this meeting? I would have been like, I don't even know what words you guys are saying. I don't know how to spell those. I don't know how to write those down. And yesterday, I feel like at times I could have chimed in and helped answer some of the questions they were asking. So that was kind of cool.
So full circle moment, which you've kind of already explained it. So if you look at what your expectations were and your fears were at the beginning, and looking back, how it all went. So kind of compare and contrast that then.
I don't think I could have understood what all I was actually going to leave this summer with knowing. I don't think I could have predicted that or been afraid of what I might learn. It's kind of funny looking back at, I was intimidated by the service team, and they were a great group, super nice. And obviously another one of my expectations coming in was that I was just going to sell a tractor, and that is definitely not what I did. So I guess just this was a great learning experience. I got so much out of it, and it was a great group to work with through and through.
So what was your favorite department to work with? You won't hurt our feelings if you don't pick IS, but, well, at least
I have IS written down, so I have to admit it. It was just really cool. I think this fun and special thing about IS is every single day is different, and you guys really, Josh says it's a bad trait that he doesn't ever know what he's going to get into, but I think that's kind of the mindset you guys have to go into this department with, is you never know what your day is going to unfold to be. And there are definitely times we had to pull a 180. We might have had something planned and then had to completely go a different direction because a customer needed help, or somebody on the team had something come up that you needed to go help support them in. So I think just this department has so much going on and so much to learn. Like I said, out of an internship, I want a learning experience, and I think every single day, and almost every single minute in the IS department, I was learning something new.
And that's the truth. That's what makes our job fun. You really never know what your day is going to be like. And I'll give you credit, and I think Jord would vouch, and I think you're new enough, you'll probably vouch, but we'll vouch again in another year or so. It takes a couple years to really learn a lot of things about this job. There's so much to learn, and I always tell people to come in, you're never going to know everything, and it takes you a couple of years to really figure out a lot of this stuff and learn by doing and experiencing, and you absorbed a lot of stuff in 2 months. Yeah. I'll give you
whether you know it or not. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess kind of wrapping that back to my first day when you guys asked what my thoughts were after that first day, and I think that was one of the things. I went home and I said to my family, I don't know how many years it took them to be able to do what they did today, because they answered questions from different people about a million different things every 2 minutes, and I was floored by the end of that day. I was like, I can't do that.
Sometimes we just guess.
Yeah.
I thought your first day, I remember how chaotic that was. I thought for sure she was going to be like, what did I get myself into? And I'm not going to come back here tomorrow.
I think a lot of the time, we have somebody young and you don't know us. Obviously, we know each other. So me walking into a day with Josh and it looking like that is no biggie. But I think that when you have a stranger come in and you're supposed to be observing us and we're supposed to be teaching you, and you come into a situation like that, that is not only intimidating for you, but also we feel bad about that. Sure. We know what our job is, and our job is to help you and onboard you and give you all the tools that you need to succeed and thrive in your internship. And, but yeah, having somebody with a positive attitude is such a big deal. Mm-hmm. Somebody who can make the most of that, because we can't do anything to change that. Our job is to serve our customers, and that's what we do. But I feel like you took the bull by the horns and in that regard, and you just ran with it. You were totally okay with it, which we appreciate so much.
I think that's what I was going to say, that positive attitude. I feel like you guys are thinking that first day was kind of a bad thing, but you're seeing these people working hard to serve their customers, and all of you between calls are joking around and super positive about the experience, and not like, oh, this is the worst day of my life, I'm so stressed out. You guys are like joking around, oh, hey, like, well
also, that's because we're all crazy and we love that type of environment. We thrive on the chaos.
Yeah. And we, again, like I said, we enjoy working together too as well. And you could see that. And I suppose there's environments where people are not happy and are miserable. But when you like what you're doing and you're having success and you like your coworkers, but you came in, you were a rock star, Karie. We could tell right away you were going to be a rock star. And
so going back to internship, and obviously this is not a repeat internship. This is designed to be a one-time internship, and then you move on to, like I said, a more niche and specialized internship if that's the path you choose. But who would you recommend applying for this? So we're going to be at Purdue this fall in Ohio State. Mm-hmm. For the kids out there that are listening, or the parents of students that are at colleges, what type of student would you say should come up and hand us their resume and say, I'm going to do well in this?
Yeah. I would say somebody who wants to learn about a lot of different sides of agriculture super quick and wants to work with a group that's super going to teach you a lot, and you have to be kind of ready for that and have a positive attitude about it. Like you said, just kind of throw yourself into it and learn a lot, hardworking. I don't know, somebody who's ready to just get all the knowledge they can out of you guys.
Okay, and kind of a follow-up to this for you. So when you came on board with us, you had, I think, said you were thinking about maybe the career of estate planning or something like that. Did this internship sway that at all? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I would say so I guess what Josh is saying, so I'm kind of looking into going to law school and doing estate planning as my end goal career. But I would say if law school is a major commitment, and I would say if that didn't pan out, precision agriculture is definitely calling my name.
So if you're a law school out there listening to this, don't accept a girl named Karie Taylor.
Yep.
I retract my rock star statement.
But yeah, no, I would say I would recommend this internship to just about anybody. I mean, it was amazing, and it was a great learning opportunity, a great group to work with, and it really was the dream for somebody who doesn't come from a family that, you know, you're growing up and you're super in the thick of it with the dealership, because I did not understand all of that. And I think that's something, I think you can either be intimidated by that and be like, I don't want to go into something like that because I don't understand it, or you can choose, hey, I need to learn about that to be able to survive and do well in this industry. And I think that was the kind of mindset I went into it. Like, I'm probably going to be confused every single day, but by the end I'll be able to learn. And
your attitude made this work really well. And exactly what you're saying is that you had the attitude that, hey, I'm going to come into this with an open mind, and I know I'm not going to know everything, because you're exactly right. It's a lot at first. And our interns typically come in at planning season, because that's the way the calendar works out, right? When the college year ends, is we're smack in the middle of crazy time.
College internships are not designed for agriculture, I'll tell you that.
But you came in with the right attitude, and that makes a big difference. It really does. That's one of the reasons you had such great success.
it was a lot of fun, and all three of you and so many more people were super, super helpful in all of it.
So this is your last week, and your last day is Friday. So do you want to talk about kind of what your next plans are as you're going back to school, or not going back to school?
Yeah, I think you guys are just wanting me to talk about this, but
maybe.
So I'm actually studying abroad. So I technically, yes, still going to Purdue. I'll be going into my junior year, but I'm going to Madrid for the fall semester. So I actually leave August 17th, and I'll come back December 22nd, and I'll spend the semester in Madrid, and then come back to my agricultural roots at Purdue for my second semester, and then I'll have my senior year, and then I'll graduate, and I'm sure it'll fly by, and yeah.
Hopefully coming back and not going to law school.
So we'll see you here in 2 years. Imagine how horrible it must be to spend a semester in Madrid. Oh, man.
Yep. I'm excited. It should be good.
Great job.
Well, this is teetering on the edge of one of our longer episodes, but I seriously haven't enjoyed this conversation. Couldn't have enjoyed it more. This has been so great, and I really, really, really hope that we have parents or prospective interns out there listening and visualizing themselves doing this internship and participating, because this is a one-of-a-kind opportunity. And like I said, Karie, you've done such a good job, and I think you've really thrived this summer, and we're so happy to have you, and so happy to have you once again returning to the podcast right before you leave us.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and TRULAND Equipment is a great company to work for, and really I would recommend it to my friends, to anybody out there, to really look for them at the career fairs and take an opportunity with them.
Look for us at your local career fairs. We might be there. Just look for the big TRULAND sign.
And if not, we'll have all of our internship opportunities and their formal job descriptions posted on our website under the careers tab. And so even if you don't see us at a career fair, you can still submit your resume that way through the portal. And we really do look at all those. And we're more than happy to kick off this internship program. And Karie was a great participant this summer, and we're looking forward to all the summers to come.
Great job, Karie.
And with that, I think we'll wrap up this episode of TRUTALK. As always, you can like, follow, and subscribe for all of our episodes that release every other Wednesday at 8 a.m.